Hello and welcome. In this video, we'll be talking about 16 things about relational trauma recovery I wish I'd known 16 years ago. This is such an important topic, and I'm so excited to share this content with you. But before we get started, let me share a little bit more about who I am and why I'm sharing this with you today. I'm Annie Wright. I'm a licensed psychotherapist and a trauma clinician with a specialty in relational trauma recovery. I'm also the founder of a boutique trauma-informed therapy center, and in addition to this, I'm also an online course creator and a published mental health writer with my pieces and opinions appearing in Forbes, Business Insider, NBC, and the Huffington Post, among others. Every bit of my work in the world, whether this is through my clinical work, through my online courses, or through content like this that I put out into the world, is designed to support those who come from childhood trauma backgrounds to have the best adulthood possible despite adverse early beginnings. If who I am and what I share resonates with you, please be sure to subscribe to this YouTube channel and sign up for my newsletter in the show notes below. And now, as part of helping you have the best adulthood possible despite how you may have started out in life, we're going to explore today's topic, 16 things about relational trauma recovery I wish I'd known 16 years ago. In this video, we'll explore critical reminders, insights, reframes, and information to support you no matter where you are on your own relational trauma recovery journey. Before we dive into today's topic, I just want to say that I'm so glad to connect with you, and I truly hope that what I share here can be of support to you. And very importantly, please remember, no matter where you're starting from, change is possible. With that in mind, let's begin this journey together by exploring today's topic, 16 things about relational trauma recovery I wish I'd known 16 years ago. To start, let's discuss why I'm sharing this with you. Well, the other weekend marked the 16-year anniversary of me making a radical structural change in my life. It was the weekend when, at age 25, I drafted the email to give notice at my healthcare consulting job in Washington, D.C., and the weekend I began the process of getting myself into the Work Scholar program at Esalen and leaving my stable, steady, but soul-squashing life on Capitol Hill for a completely unknown next chapter, which turned into nearly 4 years of living and working at Esalen on the cliffs of Big Sur, healing and recovering. It was the weekend I made big, bold actions on the outer plane of my life to begin my relational trauma recovery journey on the inner plane. Though let's be real, I didn't know to call it that at the time. I was simply somewhat desperately moving towards something, anything that felt better than the life I was living at the time. As this 16-year anniversary rolled around, I was reflecting on my 25-year-old self, her boldness, her desperation, her magical thinking, her moxie, and wondering what I would tell her with the perspective and lived experience I have at 41. So today's video is a list of 16 things I wish I'd known about relational trauma recovery at age 25. It's the content I wish my 25-year-old self would have been able to find online to help calibrate her expectations, supply some hope, and provide a bit of a roadmap for the massive internal and external journey she was about to embark on. I truly hope it resonates with you no matter where you find yourself on your own relational trauma recovery journey. So without further ado, number 1, you're not broken. All that's going on for you is a constellation of symptoms related to what happened to you in the past. Your symptoms tell the story of hard things that happened to you. And that's all. You're not broken. You're not crazy. You're responding appropriately to the crappy circumstances you lived through, even if you can't consciously remember them all. Number 2, you did actually experience childhood trauma. It just doesn't look like what the media or society at that time says counts as childhood trauma. But it is trauma. It is relational trauma. Trauma is a subjective experience, and being raised by mood and personality disordered parents can contribute to this. Your pain is legitimate, and the impacts of your past are profound. Don't let yourself or others diminish your reality. Number 3, it is entirely possible to be high functioning and still have unresolved relational trauma symptoms at play. The two things are not mutually exclusive, and sometimes being so high functioning with those Ivy League degrees and good job prospects cloaks and disguises the very real need to seek out high quality mental health care. Don't fool yourself by thinking that you don't need help just because on paper things look good. And do the work sooner than later before the cumulative responsibilities of the 30s and 40s reveal the cracks in the proverbial foundations of your psyche even more. Number 4, honey, get yourself into trauma therapy. Not coaching, not personal growth circles with a facilitator, not even regular talk therapy. Actual trauma therapy with clinical intake paperwork and confidentiality agreements with a licensed mental health clinician overseen by a regulatory board and who is additionally trained in evidence-based trauma treatment modalities like EMDR. You will save thousands of hours and tens of thousands of dollars and also reduce the risk of re-traumatizing yourself. Number 5, I know you don't want to hear this, but it's going to take time. More time than you would think or you would like. But if you think about it, that makes sense. It took a long time for all these thoughts, behaviors, and ways of being in the world to develop. It will take time to undo them. Have patience as much as you can while you continue to feel sad about your childhood and move forward as best you can. Number 6, you don't have to be fully healed to start living your life. You can make movements towards a career path that feels good even when you're healing. You can begin dating and even thinking about or raising kids while you're still grieving your past and working through your big feelings. Indeed, the things you want from life are some of the very things that can accelerate your healing and teach you your biggest lessons. Please understand, you don't have to defer living your life until you're quote unquote fully healed to pursue them. Number 7, also, there is no fully healed. That is a myth. On a relational trauma recovery journey, there are progress markers like skills developed, capacity strengthened, and other biopsychosocial achievements, but there is no fully healed, no penultimate destination of what being fully healed from your relational trauma history looks like. There's just constant progression from where you started based on what you think progress is. Number 8, life is easier as a hermit, but it's way less fulfilling. Strengthening your capacity to tolerate relationships, the real closely connected kind with conflict, vulnerability, rupture and repair, and deep intimacy, it's what makes life worthwhile. But of course, this feels hard to understand when you spent your whole life isolating because relationships have felt so painful. Practicing being in relationship with safe, trusted others to begin developing this capacity, and it totally counts to start practicing with a therapist if there's no one in your quote unquote real life who feels safe. Number 9, your financial healing and empowerment will, in tandem with your psychological healing and empowerment, be just as important for your relational trauma recovery journey. Make learning about, stewarding, and improving your financial life as much a priority as anything else. A psychologically empowered individual is powerful. A psychologically empowered individual with assets and resources who can, for example, retain the best attorneys when abusers want to make trouble in their life is even more powerful. Number 10, there is no quote unquote forgetting or getting over your past. There is only grieving and integrating the reality. This journey isn't any eternal sunshine of the spotless mind scenario. You can't change what happened and you can't forget it. But you can construct a new narrative and make meaning of your past as you move along in your relational trauma recovery work. Number 11, few things are more powerful than feeling less alone in your childhood trauma and your recovery from it. Seek out circles and places where it feels safe to share. Your share may invite others to do the same, and the relief that comes from not feeling alone in your story, in your circumstances, can be another powerful healing accelerant. Side note, you can find communities like this in my signature online courses and even in the comment sections on my website of all of those essays that I've posted there. Number 12, it is possible to come from egregious childhood trauma history and still have a big, beautiful life as an adult. One filled with love, fulfilling relationships, meaningful work, financial success, and joy from hobbies, adventures, and more. You are not doomed to a lesser life because of where you started. Number 13, your relational trauma healing may have to include elective or forced temporary or permanent estrangement from your mentally ill or dysfunctional family members. But this can change later when and if you feel ready to re-engage, assuming they're open to this. It's just hard to heal the wound when your hand is still on the hot stove. Number 14, you need to understand that you're starting 5 miles behind the starting line of your peers who don't come from childhood trauma backgrounds. The playing field is not level. Is it ever possible to catch up? Possibly, depending on what that looks like for you. But is it fair or helpful for you ever to compare yourself to them, given the differences in where you started out? Heck no. Stop doing that to lessen the pain you're heaping onto yourself in an already painful situation. Number 15, learning and relearning the skills of good, functional, quote-unquote, mundane adulting and doing those actions day in, day out, year after year will have a cumulative impact on your relational trauma journey in tandem with the deep psychological work you do. Indeed, the more you process the trauma of your past and form new, more healthy, adaptive beliefs and behaviors, all those things you always struggled with, taking care of your body and health, tending to your logistical safety in the world, paying professionals for support, and making reasonable plans for the future, it will all get easier. And it will all add up. And one day you'll be so proud of how being a regular and responsible adult feels. Number 16, despite the fact that you have spent your whole life feeling other and unwanted, you will not always feel this way. In fact, you will find your people, create a second chance family of choice, and speaking your story and truth will attract amazing relationships into your life, not to mention create your entire career path. Feeling other is painful. Feeling behind and on the sidelines of life is painful. But often it's the black sheep and the late bloomers that go on to have the most extraordinary stories of all. Look around you for models to take inspiration from until your own life becomes the model you would so dearly wish to see. So these are 16 things I would have told my 25-year-old self 16 years ago. Insights gleaned from being 16 years ahead on the relational trauma recovery journey with a clinical license and expertise in relational trauma recovery and a heck of a lot more lived life experience. I truly hope that even one thing I shared in this video felt helpful to you and supportive no matter where you are personally on your own relational trauma recovery journey. And now I'd love to hear from you in the comments below. What would you tell the you of 16 years ago about your own relational trauma recovery journey? What would you tell your 25-year-old self? If you feel so inclined, leave a message below so that others can benefit from your share and wisdom. You never know who on the other side of the world you might be helping when you share your story. Finally, if you're still not sure if this content applies to you, if you're still not sure if you come from a relational trauma history, I would invite you to come on over to my website and take my signature quiz. Do I come from a relational trauma background? It's a 5-minute, 25-question quiz I created that can be incredibly illuminating and that will point you in the direction of a wide variety of resources that can be of further and instant help to you. Plus, when you take the quiz, you'll be added to my mailing list where you'll receive twice-a-month letters from me sharing original high-quality essays with accompanying YouTube videos and audios you can stream, all of it devoted to the topic of relational trauma recovery and where I share more about me as a person, my life, and how I'm journeying through my own relational trauma recovery and general adulthood. My newsletters are the only place where I share intimate glimpses into my life, including photos, the resources that are supporting me, the things I've discovered that delight me, words that are uplifting me, the practices that nourish me, etc. So please, be sure to sign up for my mailing list, whether or not you want to take the quiz. I'll link to both of these things in the show notes below. Finally, thank you so much for listening to me today. I truly hope that even a small part of what I shared today felt helpful to you. If you found value in this video and would like to stay connected with my latest content, please consider giving the video a like. It helps more than you know. Also, subscribing to my channel and turning on the notification bell ensures you're always up to date with my newest videos. I appreciate your support and look forward to continuing this journey with you. So thank you. And until next time, please take such good care of yourself. You're so worth it.